Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear? Welcome, guys. We are here to discuss our May 26th inter audit RTP questions. Okay, I hope all of you have this RTP with you. It is RTP for the May 26th. Okay, what I felt was the MCQ questions in the RTP was good. We will have in separate sessions. First, we'll go with the MCQs. Then later on, we will go with the descriptor. Okay. So let's start. If all set, can we start? Okay. As usual, part one is the case scenario question. Case scenario. It's a very big case scenario. Uh, you can go through. See, there are a lot of things which they have stated. And as we always say, whenever you get a case scenario question, don't first read through. Always it is better you directly go. First, you directly go to the questions and then read back. So let's follow the same pattern. I'm first going to the questions. Now, first question. Can you see? In the audit of ABC Limited, which combination of circumstances primarily justified auditor's decision to obtain additional evidence for inventory valuation? See, guys, they are asking you out of the following ABCD, in which circumstances auditor will perform additional procedures and obtain additional evidence. Before we go to the case study, can you please reply? When will you perform additional procedure? Risk lesser control good case first or risk high case? Can you can you first say that? In which case you will perform more procedure? More audit procedure, more evidence. We will usually do in which cases risk high. Very good, risk high. Now, can you please go back to the case study? Even without reading, we can do, but still, for our exam, always better to read the case study, okay? So, can you read that first passage? You can read. ABC is a mid-sized manufacturing company engaged in production of electrical components and spare parts. The company maintains significant inventory across multiple warehouses. During the audit of FS, the auditor noted inventory prices were highly volatile. Volatile means fluctuating. And discrepancies in inventory records has been reported earlier. Certain inventory items were also identified as slow and required management judgment in valuation. See, slow non-moving inventory. Based on these factors, auditor assess risk of misstatement in inventory is high. The market risk is high. So we got that point. Now say, which combination you will perform more procedure and more evidence? Existence of slow moving inventory requiring management judgment. Yes, this is one of the case where there is a slow non-moving inventory. Okay. Second, prior period discrepancies, meaning last year there was so much of discrepancies. Price volatility means change. Contradictory inquiry response about obsolete inventory. Can you say A or B? Which is risk more? Slow moving inventory is there, point A. Second case, there is a discrepancy, price volatility, you inquired management, and you are getting conflicting, contradictory evidence. A or B? Which is more risk, guys? B. Very good. Now read C. Materiality of inventory balance, availability of aging report. Actually, availability of aging report is a normal thing. There is no risk in that. They are giving aging report of inventory. This is good. Risk is less. So you will perform only normal procedure. They have asked you when you will perform additional procedure, additional evidence. Physical dispersion of inventory across multiple warehouses. See, they are dispersing inventory across various warehouses. So it's an incomplete option actually. They're not saying anything. So answer is which combination you will perform additional procedure. Therefore, risk most highest in which option, guys? Answer is B. So one takeaway from this, whenever risk is high, you perform wrap through essay. At which essay? 315. When you assess risk is high, what will you do? You will respond. A. Respond. You perform further audit procedure through essay 330. Why? To obtain additional evidence. So answer is B. And if one is clear, can you say 2? Can we proceed to 2? Same case scenario, second question. The store's manager's statement that obsolete items were carried out at cost due to pressure to meet profitability targets most appropriately implies that auditor should. Now, first, you understand the scenario. They said there are slow inventories, and you read the second passage. Second passage you read, in the course of audit, auditor performed inquiries with the manager, production, finance, etc., to identify about obsolete inventory and valuation. While management represented adequate provision has been made for the obsolete inventory, store manager indicated on inquiry that certain obsolete items were still carried at cost to meet profitability target. What did you understand? And as per AS, can you say which AS? Accounting standard. Guys, as per AS2, inventory valuation, whenever there is an inventory, it should be valued at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Am I correct? Now here, cost NRV, which is lower, obsolete inventory means here it should have been valued at NRV. But they still carried out at cost. What is the meaning? They should have written down to NRV, but still they are carrying at cost. You saw this case study? Here they have still valued at cost. So inventory is inflated or deflated. I'm asking whether inventory is more shown or less shown. It should have been reduced, but it is still shown at cost. Closing stock is more. If inventory is more, profit is more. My question is whether it will impact our FS. Whether this will impact our FS. Answer is yes. So what we will do? See, this is the thing. They are valued still at cost to meet the profitability. So first option, conclude that issue relates to operational efficiency, do not affect FS. This will affect. Come on, this will affect what? FS. So it is not only operational issue. So option A is ruled out. Second, accept management representation. Essay, can you say which essay? Management representation? Accept management representation regarding adequate provisioning. See, as per essay 580, management representation is not a substitute. It is not a sufficient and appropriate evidence. You cannot merely accept. It's only a corroborative evidence. So rule out B. Treat this information as a indicator of potential management biases and modify the procedure accordingly. Seems to be correct. Since there is an issue, so you have to modify your procedure, perform more procedure. Seems to be correct, but let's read the last option. Consider enquiry response as sufficient and appropriate evidence. There are many times we have heard enquiry is not a sufficient and appropriate evidence. Or this is the correct sentence. Enquiry alone does not provide you with sufficient and appropriate evidence. So this is also wrong. Here enquiry is not sufficient. So the answer is, can you say which is the answer for the second question? Answer is C. I hope it's clear. Can we go to third question if C is clear? I mean, question 2, option C. If that clear, can we go to third? Hello. Third, in the audit of ABC Limited, after obtaining contradictory responses during inquiry, before designing substantive procedure, auditor decided to test control specifically over approval of inventory write down and review of aging report. In our audit procedure, I hope all of you know there are two procedures. Okay, risk assessment procedure, further audit procedure. In further audit procedure, two procedure, test of control TOC, substantive audit procedure SAP. Here, can you read again? Before designing SAP, auditor wants to test the control, meaning which procedure is he doing? He's testing control. So which procedure, guys? Test of control. So, test of control here, is it general or specific? Specifically, he is going to test the control over approval of inventory write down. How inventory write down was done, that he is going to see specifically. Hey, what is the meaning of write down? As we said, there is obsolete, slow moving inventory. So there is a reducing inventory. So internal control should be checked whether from cost it is written down to NRV. So auditor is checking written down internal control, meaning control with respect to write down of inventory. Now can you read and say which is the correct option? What are the controls for testing write down? Control existed, operated effectively to prevent management from deferring write down. Next, inventory quantities recorded in the system matched with physical stock. Management will physically verify the inventory. Substantive testing of inventory could be restricted to analytical. They wanted to say about test of control. So about this, not about SAP. So you can cancel C. Management representation regarding obsolete could be accepted without further corroboration. But again, which essay? As per essay 580, management representation is not a substitute. So D also wrong. Can you guys reply whether A or B, which is more correct? And which is more correct, guys? A or B, which is more correct and apt here? Answer is B, right? Or A? B or A? Answer is, ma'am, both are internal control. No, my friends are saying it is B. Answer is not B. Answer is A. Why, ma'am? See, here we are testing internal control generally or specifically, guys. Tell me that first. Are you checking internal control general or specific? Specific with respect to write down. Here, isn't the first option saying about write down? So answer is to test the internal control of write down, you should check the control of write down, not whether physically verified. So answer is, which is more apt? Answer is A. And can you all acknowledge whether you understood A? See, you want to test the control of write down. If you test some other control, you won't get the evidence. So answer is A, not B. Because of this. But if 3 is okay, can we go to 4? Okay. So here he was doing test of controller. Next one. After concluding that controls over identification and valuation of obsolete inventory is not operating effectively throughout, auditor perform procedures such as examining subsequent sales, physically inspecting slow moving item, performing substantial analytical procedure. So guys, test of control, he thought or he identified that controls are not effective. If controls are not effective, you remember in essay 330, when test of control results are not satisfactory, you should increase or decrease SAPA. Can you reply? When test of control result is not satisfactory, you have to perform more substantive procedure. That the sentences from essay 330. When results of test of control is not satisfactory, increase substantive audit procedure. That's what they have done here. See, they saw subsequent sales, they are inspecting, they are performing analytical. Now, can you say which is the correct one here? Determine whether inventory write down has been formally approved in accordance with internal policies. Can you reply? You are checking whether the inventory write down is as per the policies of the company. Checking whether matching with policy, is it TOC or SAP? Option A is you're performing TOC or SAP. Whenever you're checking with internal policies, procedure, this is TOC. They are asking about SAP. We got evidence that control is weak, so we have to perform SAP. Whereas internal policies means it refers to internal control checking. Second, B. Direct evidence whether inventory was overstated due to delayed inadequate write downs. So you go directly obtain evidence. This is part of SAP, further procedure. Now let's wait. Reassess the design of internal control. See, already we got evidence that controls are not effective. So again, performing control, not okay. You have to go for substantive. Again, if you are testing control, it is TOC. Corroborate management representation. Array, in every option they are saying, obtain essay 580. 580 is not sufficient and appropriate evidence. It's only corroborative. So, which is the correct option? And why A and C cancel? Because A and C are test of control. Here already controls are not effective, so you should perform substantive audit procedure. So the answer is B. Are you clear? Can we go to the last case study? Last question of this case study. 5. The auditor identified certain slow, obsolete inventory items continue to be carried at cost. It should have been valued at NRV or cost lower. Lower is NRV. The situation mostly directs the effects with management assertion, thereby requiring focused audit procedure in response. So, assertion. Assertion with respect to balance sheet, inventory. What are the assertion? Existence. Then, and I'm just revising existence, Then what assertion? Rights and obligation. Then amount, valuation. Then presentation, disclosure, completeness, even cut off. So these are the assertion with respect to, I'm seeing from chapter number 5. Chapter number 5, items in FS. Can you say which assertion is he seeing? Because of slow inventory still carried at cost, it should have been valued at NRV. Which assertion, guys? Is it existence? And for seeing existence, you will go and physically verify. For completeness, you check the records of sales purchases. For presentation and disclosure, it is Schedule 3. Here it is valuation. Why? It should have been at NRV. So which assertion is he trying to establish? Valuation. And how was it? Are we okay with the case study? If so, can you give a reply? Okay. Now can we go to the general MCQs? And a case study is over. Without, and I want to finish in half an hour. So without delay, can we go to the next one? Okay. Just 3 questions, da. 3 questions only. Come on, read. During the audit of QRS Limited for 31st March, the auditor observed that management has changed the method of depreciation from WDV to SLM method. The change was applied in the current year and disclosed in notes. The auditor also reviewed whether financial appropriately summarized the transactions and even recorded and evaluated the judgment in selecting the policies. Okay. In the view of above, which of the following represents auditor's responsibility? So if you see audit report, there are 14 elements. SA 700. In that, one para is management responsibility, another is auditor's responsibility. Not only that, in SA 700, there is a heading called as specific evaluation. See, there are 6 points mainly. Whether management has selected, whether accounting policy consistently and disclosed terms used are appropriate, some relating to management. Now, here they are asking which is auditor's responsibility. Can you reply whether it is AR, BR, CR, DR, my responsibility? Hello, my responsibility da. To select the accounting policies, to prepare and present financials, to change the policy, to ensure policies selected are evaluated for appropriateness and consistent application and relevant information is disclosed. Which is auditor's responsibility out of the following? Answer please. See, all these 3 are management responsibility. To select, to prepare, to change. Whereas to obtain evidence and to ensure is my responsibility. So option is D. D for dog. They are auditor's responsibility. Can we go to 7? Guys, 7. P and Co. Chartered Accountants were appointed as auditors of LMN Limited for the year. Soon after completing the audit, the engagement team began discussions for the current year audit. Before identifying and assessing the material misstatement risk, auditor planning. Timing of certain activities as applying analytical, obtaining understanding, materiality, etc. There are 5 factors. Can you say which essay? The 5 factors which they said. 1, performing of risk assessment procedure, performing of analytical, involving of expert, understanding of law, determination of materiality. These are the five factors in. Hello, essay. Very good. Essay 300. Very good. That's right. In planning. Clear? So, so something related to planning. You understood planning. Which of the following best explains this standard? Standard is essay 300. We found out. Planning is a separate phase that begins after identification of risk. Planning is a continuous and iterative process that includes consideration of all these factors. Planning is restricted to preparation of audit program. Planning is required only for initial audit engagement. But initial audit engagement is say 510. No, 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 no. Planning is required for every audit. So which is the correct option, guys? Hello, which is the correct option? Option is B. And you remember one sentence? Let's revise. In essay 300, there is one sentence. What is that sentence all about? Planning is not a discrete phase, rather, it is a continual and iterative process which begins immediately on completion of previous year audit and continues till completion of current year audit. Are you clear? So, answer is B. B for boy. Wow. Now we are coming to the last question. Can I go to the last question? MCQ. While auditing the charitable trust for the year ended 31st March, auditor obtained a list of books records maintained by the trust and verified them in mandatory records prescribed. He is doing the audit of a trust. Based on the evaluation of control, he applied test check. Tada! Test check. Test check is something similar to sampling. We hear in chapter 4 sampling. Complied with the applicable accounting standards on auditing, materiality performed, maintained detailed papers, etc. Which of the following actions of the auditor in the above case is most appropriate as per the generally accepted auditing practices? See, in big audit, we don't select entire. Okay, what we do is test check part. So when you are doing test check, which is the most appropriate option they are asking? Can you read? Using professional judgment, determine audit test, applying test check based on internal control, considering materiality, maintaining working papers. Seems to be correct. Applying test check irrespective of internal control, since trust audit are not governed by internal control consideration. Is this answer right or wrong? Can you say? See, whether it is trust audit, whether it is cinema theater audit, any audit, control is there. Not only that, test check will be resorted when controls are effective. If it is not effective, in depth we should see. So B is wrong. Restricting compliance of accounting standards as auditing are mandatory. But auditing standards are mandatory Allah. See, in the option they are saying auditing standards are recommendatory. See, essays are mandatory. Once you do the audit, whether it is trust audit, whether it is company audit, whether it is firm audit, once audit is done, compliance of essay is mandatory. Wrong. Maintaining working papers for material item as immaterial matters do not require documentation. See, I do agree. As per essay 230, only significant matters required to be documented. But can you say applying test check means material, immaterial? Applying of test check is something material. So auditor should document for future reference how he selected, why he performed test check. So this is also material in the case. So which is the option which is right? Answer is Very good. Answer is A. He has to apply the judgment, then he should select the audit test, then evaluate and document. Working papers, essay 230. So, guys, to sum up, we are winding up the MCQ discussion of RTP. To sum up, there were a lot of things which we discussed. The relevant essays or relevant topics, can I give you a sum up? So let's also revise with the discussion, no? If you want to simply know the answer, you can see RTP. If you come for the discussion, I wanted you some knowledge also. See, here there are few concepts which we revised. Just give me 1 or 2 minutes. First one was, whenever risk is high, you have to perform further audit procedure to obtain additional evidence through further procedure. Now, inquiry alone cannot provide you with sufficient and appropriate evidence. Next one. Test of control. For test of control, you have to do specific. Whenever there is an issue, exact sentence I will say, whenever there is a deviation in control, and I'm revising, whenever there is a deviation, already you found out, then specifically you should do. Essay 330 also say, whenever there is a deviation, specifically you should do. Now, SAP. Substantive audit procedure and TUC are different. Checking compliance with the internal policies, redesigning of control you studying, all are test of control. This is SAP. Now, management representation is not sufficient and appropriate. It is not substitute. Then if you're checking obsolete inventory cost NRV, the assertion is valuation. Then auditor's responsibility, all these are management responsibility. Auditor's responsibility is to check whether to obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence whether policies are consistently applied. Okay, then that sentence about essay 300, planning is not a discrete phase. And finally, when you use the test check, you have to apply your judgment, you have to test whether controls are okay, and finally, you should document. Documentation of significant matter, essay 230. This is also documentation of significant matter. So that's it, guys. MCQ. Yo or IO, if all clear, can you give me a yo? Hello? Okay. So that's it, guys. We will meet next. I will let you know in the group. We will meet next for RTP's descriptive. Maybe after 4 or 5 days, we will meet again. I will let you know in my group. Okay. So that's it, guys. You can leave, and thank you for the active participation. Okay. So once you have attended the session, don't spend time to do the RTP. Already we have solved. I will also call once again after 4 days or so for the descriptive part of RTP. Let's do it together. Like that, after RTP, I will call for MTP. Okay. Ta-ta. Bye-bye.